feature presentation.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good. I literally just finished ordering a bunch of stuff off of Vinegar Syndrome. They announced looking for Mr. Bar on 4K, so I'm very excited about that.
I saw that. I know, I know. Crazy.
I know
But
I never thought it would come to 4K.
yeah, didn't they need some clearance? It was some music clearances, right?
Yeah, because I know the Heartbreak Kid, Elaine May's The Heartbreak Kid, has had problems as well with right issues in the past. So
Yes.
I'm surprised that that's even, that this movie's seeing the light of day. So it's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Well,
Definitely.
Sean, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about Anora. And I was rereading the Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino interview that they did for the DGA. And in it, Quentin Tarantino asks Martin Scorsese about what was the first international film he saw, or what the first international movie he remembered seeing. And he mentions Roberto Rossellini's Paisan. And I know that you've talked a lot about Knights of Cabiria in terms of being an influence on Honora, and also that movie being an influence on Bob Fosse's Sweet Charity. Do you remember the first international film you watched and its effect on you as a moviegoer?
Oh my. Oh, that's a hard one because that must have been sometime in junior high school, if not earlier. I don't, oh gosh, that's a difficult one. I do know that I was managing a movie theater when I was 17 years old in New Jersey, and at during the day it was a Disney theater, and at night they would bring in indies and foreign films, and so I think I Au revoir les enfants was something that I saw, that yeah, that oh, you know what? I'm gonna say El Norte. I'm gonna say El Norte actually, because
Nice.
that was one that one of my I think it was freshman year at high school. I One of my high school teachers actually showed us in class. So in El Norte, and it had a major, and I went to quite a progressive high school in Jersey, and so there were, and so I think that my social studies teacher wanted us to understand, you know, um, uh, what it was like to be an undocumented immigrant, and I obviously this probably had a major influence on my entire career. But yeah, El Norte by Gregory Nava in 1983. That was, and that since then it's gotten on the Criterion edition. So I think that's my answer for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel that like when a movie makes it onto Criterion the way that El Norte has, that there is some sort of validation as for you, not only as a filmmaker, but in terms of someone who watches movies, that sees these little films that maybe, you feel only like five other people have seen in the world, but then when it makes it onto a boutique label like that, there's this kind of feeling of like, oh, I was always on the right side of history, or enjoying something that maybe more people will.
Of course, of course. Any of the boutique labels now, all of them have even the ones that sort of focus on genre filmmaking have become highbrow in certain ways. And so most definitely, and that's why for me, um, my films, now that they're starting to be picked up by Criterion, it just means everything in the world that my films are being validated in that world.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. I know you've announced, or you've talked a little bit about, the 4K transfers that are coming up for some of your earlier movies.
Mm,
But I wanted to ask you, about, because you always talk about the importance of seeing movies theatrically and watching them in a theater, but also, seeing something like Nora on film if possible. And I feel this
yeah,
conversation is probably going to come up again with The Brutalist as well.
right.
But I wanted to ask you how important it is for you to support smaller retailers when it comes to Blu-ray and physical media, because it also feels like that is a place that is getting smaller and smaller, and a lot of organizations now, or company studios are going to places like Amazon instead of sharing their content or their movies with smaller retailers like something like Bay Street Video in Toronto.
Oh, you're talking about literally like brick and mortar mom and pop like rental like video stores?
Yeah, because it feels
Oh,
like
wow.
there's really barely any of them left.
Yeah. I mean, they've become something that I think is almost along the lines of a museum at this point. I think the ones that exist that are still existing are there. That oh gosh, it's hard for me to. I mean, obviously, I hope they stay around forever, but I
Yeah.
think that at this point, people are supporting video stores in terms of just like for for nostalgic purposes, for just retaining some that little piece of film history and understanding and showing younger generations, oh, this is how we used to, this is how home entertainment was before the era of streaming, etc. Yeah, I mean, I do my best. I always send my, whether it's Scarecrow in Seattle or Vidiots here in LA, or, I always reach out to them directly and I say, do you guys have all of my latest, Blu-rays? If not, I am going to send you them, obviously pro bono, just to like, so that you guys have them and I'm supporting you guys. And yeah, it's obviously just another aspect of this industry that we see vanishing, and we should at least keep a few around for historic purposes.
Absolutely. Well, I do
Mm.
have to wrap up with you, but I want to thank you for taking the time to do this and have a conversation. There's so many things I wanted to ask you about. You mentioned during your Palme d'Or acceptance speech how David Cronenberg has influenced your films. I would love to know more about that, but I'm sure you've been asked those questions before. But
Well,
those
I
are
think that with that one, I just wanted to acknowledge that there was both Coppola and Cronenberg who were in main competition with me. And I just wanted to acknowledge that they had tremendous influence on my career. So I wanted to acknowledge that it was my honor to be, in company with them, in competition at Cannes. Cronenberg, over the years, even though I don't make genre films or make body horror films, all of his films have had a major impact on me. And his, I love film. He's truly an auteur, one that has a certain set of themes that he returns to again and again. His style is obviously quite it's all his, one that's very unique and very specific. And I appreciate that as a filmmaker. I always appreciate filmmakers who have their signature style, and so he's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I wrap, I just wanted to quickly say with that in mind, because I felt very similar with the ending of Anora in terms of the emotional devastation and sitting there and collecting my thoughts in the same way that I felt watching The Fly and Dead Ringers, but also even the Armenian and Russian henchmen in the film feel very much like John Getz in The Fly, where in any other movie they would be one-dimensional characters, but there's more consideration and thought going into who they are as people.
Mm, that's I mean, that's you're seeing exactly what I saw, in his films. And so I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Sean. I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Awesome. You too. You too.
Bye.